So going back to our zinc chloride, but this time instead of it being a liquid, so instead of us having melted it, we have dissolved it in some water. So as well as our zinc ions, which are the blue ones, and our chloride ions, which are the yellow ones, we also have some water molecules. Now I haven't put in enough water molecules there really, because there'd be more water molecules than anything else, but I don't have that many balls from Hungry Hippos, so we had to stick with just 4 molecules. So that is our water molecule. Now when you turn on your circuit and the electricity starts flowing, your water molecules split up to form some ions. So you've got the water molecules splitting up like this, and the ions you get from your water molecules are, and I'm going to not write that in green pen because you can't see it, the ions that you get are the H plus ion, the hydrogen ion, and the OH minus ion, which is the hydroxide ion. So more useful over here to have our ions. So that's your H plus ion, and that is your OH minus ion. So now we've got a choice, and our circuit, we've turned our circuit on, the electricity is moving around, we've got lots of electrons here on our negative electrode. So both of our positive ions are going to go to the negative electrode. So that is zinc ions, or and hydrogen ions. So they all get attracted that way, but we don't get both zinc and hydrogen made. We only get one of them, and the way you choose which one is to use the reactivity series. So basically you get the least reactive option, because that's the one that wants to get extra electrons. So zinc is more reactive than hydrogen, so you don't get zinc and you do get hydrogen. So if the metal is more reactive than hydrogen, you get hydrogen. If it's less reactive than hydrogen, you get copper or silver. So we're going to get hydrogen here. So our hydrogen ions go to the negative electrode, and then they accept an electron each from the electrode to turn back into atoms, and then because you never get hydrogen atoms by themselves, they join together and form a H2 hydrogen molecule. And you know that hydrogen is a gas, so that hydrogen molecule disappears off, and you can often catch that in a test tube and test it to see if it has a squeaky pop. So we said we had 2 hydrogen ions, and they got an electron each, so that's 2 electrons to turn back into atoms, but they don't ever exist on their own as atoms, so instead they join together to form a hydrogen molecule. So that's what happens at the negative electrode, because hydrogen is less reactive than zinc. So at the positive electrode we have our hydroxide ions, and we have our chloride ions, and what you get there depends on whether you have a halogen or not. So halogens are the group 7, they are chlorine, bromine or iodine, and here we've got chloride ions, so chlorine. So if you have a halogen, you get the halogen. If you don't, you get oxygen. So we've got our chlorines here, so we will have our chlorines, and they each give up their electron to the electrode, and then they join together to form a hydrogen molecule, because again hydrogen doesn't exist as atoms by itself. Chlorine doesn't exist as atoms by itself, and then the chlorine molecule, it's a gas, so off it goes. And exactly as we did before, we have 2 chloride ions losing 1 electron each to form the chlorine molecule with those 2 electrons.